Alright, so just as I promised in my last videos, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to apply for the SBA loan as well as getting the grant. Here to show you how to do it, I got my accountant, Stephen Hamilton II. Take it away, Steve.
Hi everybody, Stephen Hamilton here. I know a lot of you have been asking questions about these disaster loans. So I wanted to make sure that I took the time here to give you guys some guidance to make sure that you understand the different options and how to actually apply for these loans. So let's start by going to the SBA website. That is sba.gov. Again, specifically, I'll say it with a phonetic alphabet, Sierra Bravo Alpha.gov SBA. It should look just like this. If it doesn't, you're in the wrong place. Make sure that your security settings aren't going off. You don't want to actually accidentally give your private information to any scammers. All right, so let's walk through the process of actually applying for one of these loans. The way to do so starts out by going to this website. You can then click right here at the top where it says click here in order to get to the application. Now, I'm going to encourage you to read this thoroughly. You have to make sure you understand what you are signing. If you have questions, do not hesitate to ask. I know the application says that it might take about 2 hours and 10 minutes. It really does not. It's actually fairly quick. It's not too painful at all. So let's start with this. Entity Eligibility Verification. So the first thing we're going to do is pick the appropriate description that describes our business. So in this case, our eligibility, we're going to apply for Sally's Hair Salon at the moment. So Sally's Hair Salon, she's a small business. She's not a sole proprietorship, but still a small business. This application is exactly the same for a sole proprietor here. So the applicant is a business with not more than 500 employees. If you have more than 500 employees, then you have to check what's applicable and follow through from there. I'm going to guess that's not going to apply to most of you. So we'll follow the appropriate prompts. The main two that are going to be checked are these top two items. Now, review and check all of the following. Read each line item in full. Most people get in trouble in applications because they don't read what they are checking and don't read what they are signing. So you have to make sure you're not engaged in any illegal activity. No, the federal government does not want to subsidize your illegal gambling ring or other federal guideline described illicit activities. The applicant with 50% or more greater ownership cannot be more than 60 days delinquent on child support. This is not an appropriate application for agricultural enterprises, and the applicant does not present live performances of a prurient sexual nature. I'm going to leave that one alone for anybody who can't check that one. But then the applicant does not derive more than 1/3 of gross annual revenue from legal gambling. So if you own a small restaurant that might have some gaming inside, if your gross revenue, more than 1/3 of it comes from those gaming machines, then you might be out of luck in applying for an SBA loan. And we'll have to talk about some other issues and options that you have. You cannot be in the business of lobbying, so no political activity or political agenda. And the applicant cannot be a state, local, or municipal government entity. And for once, they eliminated members of Congress. So I have to say that is absolutely great. We're going to click on next here, and that will bring us to this window. So from here, we're going to fill out the business's legal name. So in this case, I'm just going to put in Sally's Hair Salon, LLC. She goes by Sally's Hair Salon. That's her DBA. And I'm just going to plug in a simple number here for her EIN number. For organization type, we are going to select limited liability company. If you're a sole proprietor, you'll select sole proprietorship, S Corp or C Corp, partnership, and so on down the line. So in this case, we know she's an LLC. It is not a nonprofit, and they don't have a franchise. So here's one thing that I've gotten a lot of questions about. The gross revenue for the 12 months prior to the date of the disaster. They're defining the disaster date as January 31st of 2020. That means we are going to use revenues from February 1st of 2019 to January 31st of 2020. So if Sally's hair salon brings in exactly $10,000 a month, I know her income is going to be $120,000. That's simple. She doesn't sell any products, so she doesn't have any cost of goods sold. That will differ for restaurants, manufacturers, and in various other businesses. If you have rental properties and you're applying, this is the lost rents due to the disaster. So that could be tenants not paying, that could be complete vacancy, that could mean they're quarantining people in your property. There's any number of different options that could fill that line item. If you guys have questions, just tag me in them and I'm more than happy to answer them for you. Again, we're not a nonprofit, so we're not going to worry about that line item. Now for primary address here, I am just going to use my office address just as kind of a placeholder here. You can ignore that. Feel free to send us any entertaining mail if you're really bored. I'm just going to plug in a couple of various items here. So Sally's Hair Salon might use us as I don't know if that's a real business or not, but Sally's Hair Salon might happen to use us as a registered agent and primary business address. All right, so her business activity is not real estate, but it's very similar to fill that out. We would just describe that, whether we're management, realty, etc. In this case, she's in personal services. So we're going to then go and select hair and nail salon. And then her number of employees. Well, she has 2 employees, and then plus herself. So that will be 3 employees from Sally's LLC. If she's a sole proprietorship, then she would only select 2. We're referring to W-2 employees only at this time. So we're going to go ahead and click next. All right, so we know that Sally owns this business. So we're just going to plug in Sally Doe. Here is her phone number, and she is the owner of the business. So here are our different options: manager, accountant, CEO, CFO, COO, other. We're just going to put owner here. She owns 100%. So I'm going to plug in my email. We're not actually going to submit this application. We don't want any loan issues or other items interfering. So Sally's date of birth is October 3rd of 1985, and she was born in Spring Hill, Florida. So we'll fill that out. And she's a U.S. citizen. Well, her residential address. She happens to live right above her hair salon. So we're just going to go ahead and fill that out. And we put in our address. Now, we have to go all the way back up because we did forget one item. Is your business owned by a business entity? Well, if this is owned by another entity, then what we need to do is we need to make sure that everything is appropriately documented. If your business is owned by another business, say an LLC that owns a subsidiary LLC, you have to answer this appropriately and fill out the questions that apply. So in this case, our answer is no, because Sally owns her hair salon, or she owns her rental property that might be owned in there. Read these very carefully because there's a lot of tricky answers in here. In the past year, has the business or a listed owner been convicted of a criminal offense committed during and in connection with a riot or civil disorder or other declared disaster? Hopefully your answer is no. There's a little bit more to that. You can't be engaged in the production or distribution of a product or service that has been determined to be obscene by a court of competent jurisdiction. Is the applicant or any listed owner currently suspended or debarred from contracting with the federal government or receiving federal grants or loans? This is very important. Anyone who's been convicted of a felony drug offense for possession or distribution could run into an issue if they answer yes to this. Or if they answer no to this. So you have to make sure you answer honestly. I don't want anybody to accidentally give incorrect information and run into a problem down the road. Are you presently subject to an indictment, criminal information, arraignment, or other means by which formal criminal charges are brought in any jurisdiction. Make sure these don't apply. Have you been arrested in the past 6 months for any criminal offense? Answer honestly. Were you arrested for it, but maybe charges were dropped? Just answer it. Explain what happened. That's your best bet, is to answer honestly. Give the explanations that are needed. Now, if anybody assisted you in completing this application, whether you paid a fee or not, you have to fill out this information right here. They want to track, they want to make sure that people who are getting help, it's being documented, so that way they can adjust their guidelines as necessary. And yes, your accountant can help you out with this. Some may charge you for the time, especially right now during tax season. For most accountants, time is their biggest commodity. So our number of hours equate to what we end up bringing home at the end of the day. All right, so if they do help you fill this out, you can answer if you want them to be able to discuss the application with the SBA. Also fill in the fee. If it's over a certain amount, I want to say it's $2,500, then you do have to fill out and explain why it's over that threshold. I know I don't charge anybody that much for filling out one of these applications. It's not a complex application, especially if we have your numbers together. Now, they may charge you for other services, such as generating financial statements or bookkeeping in order to get your information ready for the loan application. That would not apply to this specifically. Now, if you would like to be considered for the advance of up to $10,000, make sure you check this box. And then the most important part is make sure you fill in your bank name. I'm going to fill out Great Lakes Credit Union. That's a nice, lovely entity down the street. So I'm just going to fill out a fake account number here for this example. And I happen to know their routing number. They're right down the street, so we see them regularly. Then from there, once you're done, remember, you read every line. You are signing this under penalty of perjury. That is very important. Just like you sign a tax return under penalties of perjury. You are signing a loan. You don't want to run into potential loan fraud. That would not be very good, especially on a federal loan. So once you have filled out all of that information, you can go ahead and click next, and that will submit, actually it'll bring you to a summary. That summary itself will then allow you to review the loan. Once you've reviewed all of your details and made sure that they're all correct, you can click submit. From there, they will give you a nice, lovely confirmation screen with a confirmation number. So you'll have an application number that is about 10 digits long, give or take. And that is what you will hold on to in order to check the status. You'll also be notified through your email address if they have any questions for you. So make sure you fill it out accurately. Make sure you give it a great attention to detail. Any questions that you guys have, reach out, go ahead and post your questions, tag me in them when you have them. I'm working on tax returns, but I will try to answer whenever I can. That, and I look forward to doing a couple more videos on the CARES Act with you guys. Anything that pops up, just let me know.
So I hope that instructions helped you guys as far as applying for the SBA loan. If you haven't already, if you love the content, go ahead and like the video as well as subscribe to our YouTube channel for more updates on the CARES Act.